Hello everyone, today is our fourth time lesson and today we are going to be focusing on telling time to the half hour. So we are learning about time for our outcome so that we can write our own timetable for a grown-up to follow. So today we are going to understand how to read a clock. We are going to be able to explain the role of the minute and hour hands. We are going to know that the clock is split into two equal parts, and we are going to be able to read the time to half past the hour. So I just wanted to recap what we were doing yesterday. So we were reading the clock to o'clock times, and we spoke about how the clock is like a round number line. It's like a special number line that we can read. Now remember, the big numbers on the clock told us the hours and the little dashes on the clock told us the minutes. So that's how we know what time it is. And we've got our clock face there with our clock hands on it. So we've got the long minute hand, we've got the short hour hand, and we've got the fast second hand. But today, again, we are going to be focusing on the long minute hand and the short hour hand. So how many seconds are there in a minute? There are 60 seconds in a minute. How many minutes are there in an hour? There are 60 minutes in an hour. And how many minutes are there in half an hour? So if we know that there are 60 minutes in an hour and we halve 60, we know that we are left with 30. So we've got 60 seconds in a minute, we've got 60 minutes in an hour, and we've got half an hour is 30 minutes. So the time it takes for the clock hands to go all the way around in one full circle, that takes 60 minutes. But if they go halfway around the clock, it takes 30 minutes. So a clock face is a full circle which is made up of two halves, so two equal parts. And each part is 30 minutes and the whole clock is 60 minutes because, as we said, there are 60 minutes in an hour. So we know that half an hour is 30 minutes. So here we've got 30 minutes in half an hour. It takes us 30 minutes to get down to the 6 for half of the clock, and it takes us 30 minutes to get back up to the 12 at the top of the clock. So we know that in half an hour there are 30 minutes and our clock is split into two equal parts. Okay, so when it is 30 minutes past the hour, we say half past. So when our minute hand has gone halfway round the clock down to the 6, we know that it's going to be a half past time. And then we're going to look at our hour hand to see which hour we are half past. So remember when we looked at our o'clock time, the minute hand was always pointing upwards at the 12, and that's how we knew it was an o'clock time. And then we could check our hour hand to see which o'clock it was. And this time we are looking at half past. So when the minute hand has made its way halfway round the clock down to the 6, and if we see the minute hand pointing down at the 6, we know it is a half past time, and then we've got to look at our hour hand to work out which hour we are half past. Okay, so if we have a look on our clock here, we can see that the big hand is pointing at the 6 because it's gone halfway around our clock. So we know that when we see the big hand on the 6, we know it's a half past time. But let's have a look at our hour hand, at our short hour hand. Now it's not on the 1 and it's not on the 2, it's halfway in between. And that's because when our big minute hand moves, the hour hand moves with it. So we can see that the hour hand is halfway between the 1 and the 2. We haven't got to 2 yet. We would have to wait for the big minute hand to go back up to the 12 for it to be 2 o'clock. So we know that the little hand has just gone past the 1, and so it must be 1:30. It must be 1:30, because we are halfway between the 1 and the 2. Okay, so let's have a go at reading some half-past times. Okay, so the big hand is on the 6, so we know that the time must be a half-past time. And our little hour hand is halfway between the 10 and 11. Now we haven't got to 11 yet, have we? So we know that the time must be 10:30 or 10:30. Lovely, let's look at our next one. So we know that our big hand is on the 6, so it must be a half-past time. And where is our little hour hand? Which numbers is it in between? Well done. So it's 5:30 because our hour hand is in between the 5 and the 6. It hasn't quite got to the 6 yet, so it's got to be 5:30. Okay, let's have a look at this one. So we've got our big minute hand on the 6, and we've got our short hour hand between the 2 and the 3. So what must the time be there? Well done, 2:30 or 2:30. Okay, so we are going to record the times that are about to pop up on your page on our clocks that we made yesterday. So make sure that you have got your clock at the ready. Okay, the first time is 3:30. 3:30. So remember, your big hand needs to be on the 6 and your little hand needs to be in between 2 numbers. It needs to be halfway in between 2 numbers because it has moved with our minute hand. Let's see if you're right. Well done. So your big minute hand should be on the 6 and your little hour hand should be in between the 3 and the 4. Okay, next one, 8:30. 8:30. 8:30. What's that going to look like on your clock? Let's have a look. So your big minute hand is going to be on the 6 and your little hour hand is going to be in between the 8 and the 9, and it needs to be halfway in between because we haven't got to 9 o'clock yet. We are still working around past 8 o'clock. So we've 8:30. Okay, next one. 12:30 or 12:30? Can you show me that on your clock? Well done. So where does your big minute hand need to be and where does your little hour hand need to be? Lovely. Let's see if you're right. So your big minute hand needs to be on the 6 for 1/2 and your short hour hand needs to be in between the 12 and the 1. Well done. Now we're going to do a quick show and we're going to look back at some o'clock times as well. So here we go. Can you show me 9 o'clock on your clock? So where does your big minute hand need to be and where does your small hour hand need to be? I'm going to count down from 10. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and did you get it right? So your big minute hand needs to be on the 12 and your little hour hand needs to be on the 9. Okay, next quick show. 1:30 or 1:30? Okay, I'm going to count down from 10 again. Are you ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And did you get it right? Your big minute hand needs to be on the 6 and your little hour hand needs to be in between the 1 and the 2. Well done. Okay, so your task is to teach a grown-up how to tell the time to o'clock and past. Now you are going to imagine that they are an alien from the planet Zog and they have never ever heard of time or even seen a clock. So you could use your clock to teach them how to tell the time to o'clock and to past. Now remember, they've never ever seen a clock, so they have no idea what a clock is and they have no idea what time is. So you're going to have to explain it very, very clearly to them. So it'd be amazing if you could get your grown-up to record you doing that. That would be amazing for Miss Cuss and I to see. Okay, so our challenge. We've got a clock here and Sophie says the time on the clock says it's 3:30. Is she right? Explain your reasoning. So I want you to have a look at that clock and I want you to see if Sophie is right. And if she's right, then write down why she is. And if she's not right, then write down why she has got it wrong. Okay, so let's go back to our success criteria. So we were learning to understand how to read a clock. So now we can read a clock to o'clock and to past, which is amazing. We were learning to explain the role of the minute and hour hands, which hopefully you did to your grown-up. You will know that the clock is split into 2 equal parts, which we looked at the start. And hopefully you are confident reading the time to past the hour. Now we're quickly going to have a look at our launch page. So down here we can see our expectations. So we have learned how to sequence events. We have used dates. We have looked at units of time. We have learned to read the clock to o'clock and to past. And even better if we have been able to describe key periods, we have used estimation accurately, and we have started to reason about time and explain our answers. So we are doing so well with time, and we are going to be amazing at creating our timetables by the end. Well done. I hope that you feel really confident with telling the time to half an hour, and I hope that your grown-up is really impressed by how much you could explain to them about time. See you tomorrow.